got a a pretty powerful way of collecting and analyzing data with these technologies. Now, if we get away from technology, we can think about some of the things that geographers do. They think about locations and how things are organized out on the Earth's surface. So I just have a map here of the Muslim world. We have Mecca right here. We know that Mecca is in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, and we can see then there is a relationship between that location and the distribution on the Earth's surface. So we're always thinking about what's the relationship of one place to another, one point to an area, all those kinds of things that give us variety on the Earth's surface, but also give us some kind of organization on the Earth's surface. If you're looking at physical geography, this is the 2004 tsunami, so we can map the energy. This is Aceh before the earthquake and then after. This is satellite imagery, so this is another way that we can collect data. And we're also going to look at that today, in which we have an image that we can superimpose over GIS. We can line it up. We can get it to line up with the features in the map, and so we can see pictures as well as maps of things on the Earth's surface. We're also interested in movement, so things are changing through time. So if you're teaching history, for example, you're probably interested in what's happened over the course of time. And so we can see distributions. Now this map right here is a distribution map of Hispanic population. And we can see that there is, as you might expect, a distribution along the border with Mexico, but we see some outliers. We see that, we don't think of Hispanic populations as being all that important in southern Idaho, but we see that there is a fair number of Hispanic people. And there are certain counties sort of distributed through the Midwest that have a relatively large percentage. So one thing we can do is we can start to think of those layers, and we can think about, what other variables might come into play. And so we can superimpose different layers and try to answer that question of why do we have this distribution, and what kind of movement from one area to another might come into play. We can also think about how humans affect natural systems. On the right we have an image from the Amazon. So this is rainforest that's been cut down. We can see the distribution of buildings through the area that has been impacted. So we can really go to lots of different places remotely and see what's going on in many locations. And we can also predict the future. We can think about, what's going to happen down the road, and by looking at those layers and putting those layers on top of each other, we can make some predictions about what might happen to land use in the future. And we can think about changes that have happened in the past and say, well, there might be a change in the future if the trend continues in the way it is. And of course we have a drawing of a futuristic city here, so that's just an artist rendering. But over here we have Valencia, Spain. This is an existing city. Looks pretty futuristic. You can engage students in thinking about what would happen if we had cities like this in other places. What are the downsides? What are the upsides of that? So in all those different kinds of ways of analyzing the Earth's surface, one of the things that is important is that we have people who are able to do this kind of analysis, whether it's someone who sits in front of a computer making a map and doing analysis. Just making a map is only the beginning. And one thing to think about in terms of GIS, it's an analytical tool. It's not necessarily a map-making tool. That's the way we see the information, but it really gives us a much better picture of what's going on than just producing a colorful map. We would also have people out in the field, like these people in the middle. Now, this is a GPS unit. These are people who work for a utility. They're over a storm drain. They want to know information about things out there on the Earth's surface. And so these folks, have the training to do the kinds of data collection that we, in the past would have used surveyors for. Now you can do things in GPS. You've also got traditional kinds of data collection. This is a forest in Germany where they are collecting information. GIS-related professions is one of the largest or the fastest growing segments of the U.S. economy. It's growing much faster than other segments of the economy, and so we really need to have people engaged and trained in this kind of technology, in data collection, so that you can have a workforce that is able to do this kind of analysis. Now, you have to teach them necessarily, but it's good to get them engaged, to get them started thinking about this as a possible profession down the line. Okay. So that's sort of my overview of how GIS and technology works into geography and other fields. And